Hello again, everyone. Michael Matt for Remnant TV's News in Black and White. We're here on a cold and rainy Sunday night talking to the leader of the Argument of the Month Club, Ken Werktel, about an exciting event that's coming up this coming Tuesday. Kent, how are you tonight?
Very good, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, hey, it's our pleasure. This is going to be fun. There's a lot of folks up here that are really excited and waiting with great anticipation for your event come Tuesday, October 8th. Why don't you tell us something about it?
Well, we got two really well-known speakers coming in. Michael Voris from the Vortex and Mark Shea from the very well-known blog Catholic and Enjoying It. These guys, they don't see eye to eye on how to approach dealing with the crisis in the church today. And I think we're going to have a very, very lively conversation, or I should say cage match, going on at the Argument of the Month. We're very excited about it too. We're hearing a lot of buzz about the whole event, and people coming in from brand new people coming in all the way from St. Cloud. Got a guy flying in from Ohio, and we're just thinking that this is going to be a huge, probably the biggest turnout that we've ever had. I'm expecting like maybe 500-600 people.
You know what's really cool about this is that I really don't know that it's been done. I mean, when you have this sort of dichotomy between the quote unquote neo Catholics and then the more traditional Catholic guy coming together to have a face to face debate like this is going to be there's going to be some fireworks, I think, because as you say, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of love lost between these two guys.
No, no. If you go and actually, I think it'd be great for everybody to go and look at Mark Shea's blogs and see just see how these two are sparring off. Go and check out some of Michael Voris's Vortex on the Catholic media, the mainstream Catholic media. Even though we know that Shea does not really fit into the whole Catholic media avenue per se, but he still rolls with the same crowd. So I think we're going to actually get a very good feel for how these two are going to work out their differences with each other, and just give a better understanding of how we as lay Catholics then can also approach these same issues, because we're dealing with the same thing out here. We're just looking for the truth. Voris and Shea, they're lay people, and they're coming at it from two different ways, but they're telling each other that they're wrong.
No,
And
that's right.
so what is the right way to approach this crisis, all these scandals that we're hearing?
Yeah, Kent, it's really true. This is a different thing, and we're having a little fun with these guys with the whole cage match thing. Hats off to both of Mark Shea and Michael Voris for agreeing to come in. Mark Shea he writes for the National Catholic Register. He's done some things for EWTN. He's Christendom College Press, I think, has published one of his books. So this is definitely a more mainstream fellow, and he's agreeing to come in here and talk to Michael Voris, who has been very, very outspoken lately against a lot of the problems in the church. So I think this is, it's a fun debate that you've set up, but it's a debate that really has to happen as things get worse in the church. What are we supposed to do? And I guess we're going to come Tuesday night, that's what we're going to talk about. What are men supposed to do? Where are the parameters or the boundaries of loyalty and not causing scandal and all of this sort of thing, but at the same time, not sugarcoating the disasters that we're seeing on just exploding all around in the church right now. I guess that's what's going to happen Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see some very good, for them to lay out the whole situation, and some of the situations that we probably don't have all the insights to, and try to get a handle on, why, for example, Mark Shea think that their side thinks that just pray and fast, and that's the way that we should handle the crises in the church, as opposed to somebody say like Voris, who believes that we need to get out there, be more active, and bring these things to light, and try to do something to fix them. Physically, by going out and speaking about them, arguing the problems, and saying what's at the root cause of this. Maybe we ought to change things. I think that's been part of the issue, as with having the Remnant newspaper. I mean, the traditionalists seeing different things that are going on with the Novus Ordo Mass and the old traditional Mass, and saying, we see a conflict here. What do we do about some of this? And I think some of that will probably end up also coming out. And I think that's all very, very good, very healthy to discuss all these issues and topics. and to get lay people thinking about it. Because to tell you the truth, I wonder how many lay people still really even know about these two different camps within the Catholic Church. I think so many times we just see people running with the same crowd and don't realize how divided the church is. When actually, I think one of the things that we're hoping to accomplish is bringing both sides together and creating a little bit more unity within the church and thinking of ourselves more as Catholic and not, you know, this is my group of Catholicism over here, and then there's another group over here. You know,
that's exactly right. From what I've seen of your organization, the Argument of the Month Club, I mean, you succeeded in bringing people together to have these face-to-face conversations and to realize that, hey, you know what, we can say the creed together and mean it, and that actually is fundamental to who and what we are as Catholics. But say something, if you would, about Michael Voris. I mean, it seems to me that his success is similar, the spirit of his success anyway, what drives his success is similar to the success of the Argument of the Month. In other words, you seem to have tapped into sort of a grassroots, especially among men, a sense of betrayal, a sense of being lied to, a sense of not being able to live our faith as Catholics fully. And that's just really resonating with men, it seems like. I mean, Argument of the Month is a great example of that, right?
well, absolutely. I think that most of us come from a background where we felt confused about our faith. We didn't know what the truth was because we were hearing contradictory things within the church. And so as you start going out and trying to understand your faith and understanding the truths of your faith, and you start understanding the history, though, then you start asking some of these fundamental questions like, well, why was this not told to me? Why are these things being kept from me? And why does the church seem to be so feminized? And why don't we start bringing some of these things back that actually help men identify with the faith a little bit better? And also, you talk about Voris's success, and I think part of it is because he's not afraid to talk about some of the hard issues. I think men want the truth, and they want to discuss these things because it's happening in everybody's lives.
That's right.
And so many times, we do the traditional apologetics, and that's great when we're trying to explain to our family members who might have been fallen away. But then when they bring up a scandal in the church, what kind of answers do we have for them? They start talking about, Father so-and-so says this, and then I got another priest that says this, and then the catechism says this. So how are we dealing with all those things within the church? And then you bring somebody in, you tell them that we have the truth, and all of a sudden then they're hearing three different things. So it becomes very difficult, and I think part of the success is that we wanted to start bringing some of these practical issues that everybody is dealing with in their own lives. The scandal in the church, the feminization of the mass, and also the economy. We've had many debates on, what is a good Catholic supposed to be looking for in like a soul in our political system.
Right.
What do we look at there? So I think we have to, not just be addressing all, the traditional apologetic topics and start having the conversation that every average Joe is having on the street.
No, that's right.
But it seems to be like the mainstream Catholic media is afraid to take on these things, and they're kind of like closing their eyes to it, but it's actually, everybody's talking about it anyway, so I don't know why they're not trying to discuss them and actually trying to address the issues.
That's right. And you see these sort of ephemeral, nondescript solutions, even coming from the lips oftentimes of our own shepherds, of our bishops and so forth, where they talk about, well, that we're facing crisis, and they'll say, well, we need to come to Christ. And it's just real vague, especially for men. They're saying, and okay, I'm doing that, but what about sins? What about pornography? What about liturgy? What about all this stuff that's causing a tremendous amount of confusion? And I just think it's fascinating because I've seen enough of the Argument of the Month and enough of Michael Voris to see that there are a lot of guys out there, a lot of Catholic men who are just waiting for someone to come along and have a manly conversation about what the church actually infallibly teaches. They're just looking for somebody to tell them what the church teaches, what they have to believe in order to save their souls, in order to be a good Catholic. And that seems to be what's driving the success of something like the AOTM.
Well, absolutely. There are many times that we walk away, and sometimes I think a lot of the guys walk away with more questions than answers, but I can tell you that they at least had some questions answered. They might want to dive deeper into the faith after it, after that particular debate or discussion, a panel discussion that we might have. But they are still getting answers, and that's what's great. And then they become hungry for more. And I think that, like you said, when you say, well, we want to meet Jesus Christ, well, what does that mean? How do we apply that?
Yeah.
It's like it's pretty vague. It's pretty open.
Or they'll talk about this journey. We're journeying to find the truth. I thought that Jesus came 2,013 years ago and gave us the truth. I thought that he's present in the Blessed Sacrament, but we always talk about journey. It's like, no, we already have the truth. Why can't we just seize it and defend it like men used to do? But that, for whatever reason, just isn't very popular right now.
Well, exactly. I mean, even if you were to look at traditional apologetics, traditional apologetics helps you to understand that, the true presence of Christ in the Eucharist, and understand the kingship of Christ, and getting answers to that. After you dive into apologetics, you're like, well, how come I was never taught this?
Mm-hmm.
And it helps you deepen your faith. And I don't want to say apologetics is the be and end all of our faith, but it really helps when you can't love something you don't know.
Yeah.
And when you start understanding it and knowing it, you can love it more.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're about, really helping the men of the Argument of the Month to start having knowing their faith a little bit more, start developing a passion for their faith, and what I'm really enjoying is learning the past and history of my faith, because I believe that since the church has been so feminized, it's great to look back and to see regular men
that's right.
trying to live out their faith, and messing up just as much as I do, and having the same tendencies that and emotions that I feel, and not some kind of this different kind of saintly type of person that I can't identify with, that I see in so many modern saint stories.
Right.
And I really believe that we're helping bring some of that back to men. And it's just like going, this is what I've been missing. I'm getting answers, and I'm having some kind of Catholic identity that we've talked about for so long, that I believe it wasn't even Pope Benedict's talking about that we need to understand who we are, because Catholic doesn't mean just to be like, I think everybody has this persona of what Catholic means, but Catholic should mean I'm following Christ.
Right, that's right.
Catholic should mean I belong to the church he founded, not like some separate organization over here.
Yeah.
It's and I think that it's hard for us modern people to get our heads around that idea.
Well, you know what? I want to commend you, because what you've done, what I wish more Catholic organizations around the country would do, and that is try to get people to sit down and have a conversation. I know you've had traditional, very tradition-minded Catholics on your roster. You've had some very, very liberal Catholics, even some atheists come in, and you're getting people to sit down and have conversations, because we're living in a society which seems very intent on polarization, driving everybody very far away from each other. And I think the Argument of the Month is to be commended, even nationally speaking, for having the guts to say, okay, you're a traditionalist, you like the traditional Latin Mass, come on into our venue and debate this guy that can't stand the traditional Latin Mass, and let the men, the 400 or 500 guys in the room, decide who's got the best case. That just makes good sense, but we're not seeing enough of it these days, other than outside of the AOTM and places like the Vortex,
Absolutely. Well, I think that's in our politically correct culture nowadays, that whole spirit of debate between men has really gone out the window, because everything's about not offending somebody. And when you get into a room where you have strong debate, where you have people that do not agree with one another, somebody's going to end up being offended.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
I think it's a good virtue to cultivate, is being in a room with somebody who you don't necessarily believe in their ideas, but still be able to even passionately debate with them, but still, hold them in high regard, and not feel like, we need to degrade each other. And I see that happening more and more. And actually, within our debates, I feel like people are coming together. Good example was Father Eckert when he was debating John Zemerick. And they were very passionate at the very beginning and were vehemently opposed with one another. And towards the end, they actually came together and had quite a good understanding.
As is gonna happen most of the time when you get decent fellows together, good Catholic guys together that do believe and do care about their faith. You get them in the room. What I see usually is everybody says, you know what? I think I'm a tradition-minded Catholic too. That's what we all are. Those of us who care about the faith, period, tend to be tradition-minded because the church rests on one of the pillars of the church is tradition. You can't get away from it. So I think it's great. Listen, I know I'm using up some of your time here, but just I know everybody's excited about Tuesday. So now it's going to be sort of an Oktoberfest theme. Tell people, if they want to come out for it, what time it starts and where it's at, and all those particulars, if you would.
Sure, we're at the St. Augustine's in South St. Paul. We're going to be starting early. This will be a special event, as you said, Mike. It's going to be starting at 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So we're expecting everybody to take off work early and come on down. And, we're going to be having, your traditional Oktoberfest food, beer brats, and of course, there'll be all kinds of beer there. And we'll have cigars. We're having cigars, and bring your pipe if you got pipe tobacco. We're going to have, you want to look up the full menu. We got roasted potatoes with all kinds of bacon. We never leave out the cholesterol. We're always putting that in. All kinds of appetizers we'll have out during from between 3 p.m. and when dinner is being served at 7. We're going to have a double-header debate. If you go and check out our website, AOTMclub.com, you can check out that we're going to, at 6 o'clock, we are going to have first more of a strict debate between Michael Voris and Mark Shea. And then later on at 7:30, which is our usual time that we have our usual debate, we're going to do a kind of a much more open discussion where we can dive more deeply into these topics. And we're going to have 4 people up there, yourself, David Devil, and Mark Shea and Michael Voris again, and we'll take some of the things that come out in the debate and actually be able to expound upon them and talk about them in more of a relaxed kind of atmosphere. I think we've done that before, and it's very dynamic and a lot of fun, and people will still be able to ask questions. Usually we let people come up to the microphone, but at this particular event, to save time, we're just going to have people, write their questions down, and the moderator will be asking the questions during that panel discussion.
That sounds great. There'll be a lot of sparks flying and a lot of great discussion. I can't wait for it. I'm excited to be coming myself, and I hope we get a lot of people. I know we're going to get a lot of people coming out to it, and I hope it's just a really lively crowd that's excited about finding out about their faith. Kent, congratulations. It's really, for us, it's great. St. Paul's kind of leading the way right now in some very important ways, and one of those ways is bringing people together for debate through the AOTM. So kudos to you. Keep it up, and we'll see you Tuesday night.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Good night. God bless.